unlocking your world of creativity with best-selling author and brand innovator, Mark Stinson. This episode is brought to you by White Cloud Coffee Roasters, where every bean tells a story of adventure. Visit whitecloudcoffee.com and use the code CREATIVITY.
Welcome back, friends, to our podcast, Your World of Creativity. As I reflect back on some 400 now interviews with creative practitioners, several lessons learned come to mind, but a couple that I'll share now are, first, finding your signature methods, your tools, your creative techniques. And then the other is resilience as a character trait we creatives need to have. And my guest today combines those, the idea of work and techniques and methods, but also perseverance and resilience in the face of challenges. And he'll tell that story. Please welcome in Christian Helms. Christian, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. Christian is the founder and creative director of Helms Workshop, an award-winning branding agency known for building brands that connect, and 15 years experience leading creative strategy in this firm with names like Jack Daniels and Hershey and Austin Beerworks and Howler Brothers. So really a lot of storytelling, a lot of creative vision brought to life. Now, he also faced some struggles with undiagnosed illness, had to rebuild life and business using a lot of those tools. Let's start there, Christian. When we talk to clients about their stories and creativity, it seems to be a very kind of rote, sometimes antiseptic workshop technique. But when it hits home, when it's personal, the story and the rebuilding becomes a different part of it, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. I'm thankful to be on the other side of it now, but years ago, we were in a place where we were an up-and-coming kind of hotshot agency, relatively small, but getting in all the annuals and starting to get more and more business and more visibility. And I randomly got hit with Lyme disease and another disease called ehrlichiosis. Both are tick-borne. Both are awful. And was basically undiagnosed for a year and a half or so, flying around the country trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I went from this to barely being able to walk across the room without having to lay down and rest. Brain fog was so bad, if you told me a phone number, I couldn't write it down before I already forgot it. I couldn't take part in conversations because I would hit a moment where I would say, this is where I would say something witty. What do I want to say that's witty? What can I say? And literally, by the time I got to a place where I might have something to say, the conversation is 10 miles down the road at that point. So it was really challenging for the business. Personally, socially, I just disappeared. It was just my wife and my young son. And I really didn't go out and see folks because I couldn't interact. And it was just weird for folks to talk to the zombie person. And physically, fibromyalgia, horrible joint pain, muscle pain. It was just from every angle, it was just really rough. I eventually was diagnosed by a doctor in New York after about a year and a half and was overjoyed to learn at least what I had. I was hearing it's in your head. You're probably just depressed. I'm like, but this is not that. So finally I was diagnosed, but then they couldn't figure out how to treat me. I got passed around from doctor to doctor in Manhattan. And finally, this really renowned revolutionary holistic doctor offered some hope. And then he couldn't figure it out either. And he said, I'm going to send you to this guy. He's the guy that I send people to when I don't know what the hell to do. And so he sent me to this holistic and Western medicine doctor in Pennsylvania who basically had cured himself of the same thing 20 years before, just lying in his bed with a rotary telephone, calling every doctor he could to get more and more information. And he built this protocol that was extremely customized. I would talk to him probably 4 or 5 times a day take different supplements, cut out dairy, soy, caffeine, obviously alcohol, and the list just keeps going. And slowly was able to rebuild my body back over the course of about 2 years. So it was a long, slow process, but it reminds me of when you have a newborn kid. It's every time you get to the point where you're just about to throw them in the river, they hit a milestone and they smile or they giggle or they say your name. And it was like that. Like every time I was like, it's not working, something else would happen to move me forward.
Glad to hear you are on the other side of it.
Me too. But the thing is, once I got better, I had just a struggling business and no social connections whatsoever. And so I had to rebuild me in that regard. And I really used a lot of the principles of branding to do that because we shape and manifest a vision for the future of a company every day in what we do, why can't I shape and manifest a vision for my future as well? So from mission and values to tone of voice to audience, who do I want to be surrounded by? Who do I want to spend my time with? All of those things I worked through and really got to know myself a lot better and chart a course where I was going to go next.
Well, very good. And in your work and in your personal life, I've read a lot from you about the importance of curiosity and play, of course, and breaking out of some of these ruts. But the curiosity, as you were saying, I'm doing my own research, I'm making those phone calls. And now, as you have bridged to the branding side, where does curiosity play in creating a new idea or creating a direction that
Yeah.
whether we're a person or a brand that we want to pursue?
Yeah, the idea of curiosity and wonder is something that I try to hold close in my personal life and in my work life. And I think, if you're curious, the first part of anything we do in building a brand is a deep dive to immerse ourselves in the brand, the business, the competition, all that stuff. I'm an actually curious person, so I love that part. I'm getting paid to learn about all these things that might be a little bit outside of my direct wheelhouse. So I'm killer at dinner parties because I have weird anecdotes about all these different things. But similar to, I was a journalism student in college, and they make you take a lot of classes in a lot of disparate places with the idea that a well-rounded person who knows a little bit about a lot of things is a better
Right.
journalist. And I think it makes you a better brand person as well. I have a team of 16 terribly curious people. And a big part of that is just bucking creative norms. So you mentioned earlier your process. We really strive for anti-process, which means don't do the easy thing that you've done 5 times before that you can knock out like this. Put yourself in a zone where you're uncomfortable and you have to fight your way out of this paper bag. And I think the other piece that we really love to talk about and think about is just lateral thinking. Linear thinking being A, B leads to C. Lateral thinking being A leads to baseball, leads to cantaloupe. With linear thinking, you get a name like IBM, International Business Machines. Like, sure, it's descriptive, but it's not exactly sexy. You don't really want to wear that on a t-shirt. With A leads to baseball, leads to cantaloupe, you start to ask a question, what would our brand be if it was a fruit? And that's how you get apple. So much more interesting, so much more compelling, and so much more fun for the consumer.
Yes. I wanted to pursue that for a second because there's a reality or a lism behind what you just said. We're not just pulling it out of the air. We're not. And so this word authentic is often used in storytelling, story creating, brand campaigns. We want to have an authentic story. We want to have an authentic voice. We want to talk to the customer authentically. Where do you come down on what that means in real work?
Yeah, I think we have to acknowledge that the word authentic has just been beaten to death and overused. Where does it even mean anything? The flip side of that coin is it really does mean something. And I try to describe things to my team and to my clients in the simplest words possible. And it's really just about talking to people like they're people rather than demographics or target markets, sharing rather than selling, bringing little moments of joy and delight and wonder to your audience. Like they appreciate that. And that's resonant. And that's a real transfer of energy and joy between you and the people who are experiencing your work. And people feel that. If we have joy and wonder and real emotion in the work that we do, you absolutely feel that in the final product when you experience it out in the world.
So good. And continuing this thought about resiliency, I wanted to pick up on that as you were describing your team and even the anti-process, which I do. Not every day we're all going to be running on a full tank. And we often say you never have any idea what somebody might be going through in their day, in their life, in their world, right? And so we all come to work bringing our life with us. How do you, as a team leader and as especially creative team leader, think about keeping creativity, restoring it, keep sparking it, even when the tank might be empty?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the reality is not everybody's going to be on their game 100% every day. I always, and I think I borrowed this from Amazon or somebody. I hate that I can't quote the source, but our team is not a family. Our team is an elite sports team. And sometimes somebody's going to be injured. Sometimes players move on. Sometimes new players come in. But once you're part of that team, it's full force ahead. And if somebody falls down, you got to pick them up. So if Cooper is having a tough day creatively, he'll lean on the rest of the team to help bolster that up. The other thing is, I don't believe in inspiration. I think creativity is a skill that you can absolutely learn. And there's a great writer, again, whose name I'm not remembering, it's so embarrassing, who said something to the effect of, novices wait for inspiration, real people just get to work.
There you go.
I have a friend named Will Johnson, who's an amazing musician. He's part of the Jason Isbell 400 unit. And that guy treats music like a job. He gets up every day and writes. He has a schedule. He absolutely is just methodical about it. And it shows in his work. He's terribly prolific and just a brilliant musician.
Does the fact that you went through your own health challenge and journey when the tank was empty, does that give you a different perspective, or I'll say more empathy perhaps, for others on your team or even clients? It's like when they're not running at 100%, it's, I've been in your shoes.
Oh man, empathy tenfold from where I was before. And also that's having kids too. Kids just
They have a way.
turn into a softie. But we really love helping founders and people essentially achieve their dreams. We get really passionate about them and their business and their goals because we are so fortunate to work with awesome human beings, both on my team and on the client side. We're an agency that stays a little smaller than we could be, so we can be picky and choosy about who we partner with. And that client fit is huge. It literally says on our website, we don't work with assholes, and that includes our team. And it's the truth. Life is too short to work with toxic people.
So true. Let's look at the other side of this kind of long, enduring impact. It's one thing to say we've got long journeys, but it's another to say we could create great work that lasts. You've often been quoted as saying great stories endure. What does impact look like for you these days?
It's a shift in thinking where you have to realize that branding is not about communicating value. It really is about creating value. It's not what the things that we make, it's the things that we make possible. It's that bigger capital B branding that we really want to contribute to. And great branding doesn't just describe an experience or the value of a product. It is an experience. It's creating that value essentially.
Mm-hmm. So good. Christian, before we go too much further, I should make sure that we all know where to find you online, where to find your work, and connect with you.
Absolutely. You can find us online at helmsworkshop.com. I'm on Instagram as tchristianhelms, and the studio is helms_workshop. And then, of course, LinkedIn and all the other spots as well.
Sure. I wanted to pick up on that as we round the corner here in our conversation. Just the name of your agency, the workshop, has a get to work feel to it. It's a workshop. We're making stuff here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think design can become this really intellectual thing, and it is, but it's also about craft, and it's about using your hands, and it's about getting in and getting dirty and making something that wasn't there before, which is magic. The origin of the name, as a kid, I was just, and still, I'm just in awe of Children's Television Workshop and all of what Jim Henson created. Talk about creating a brand, creating an entire world. That guy, just out of thin air and some felt, created something that is just wholly immersive and has so much heart and value and transfers so much value to kids and adults. So that was the initial inspiration.
So good. Speak to a listener who might be at a crossroads even today, professionally or personally, even creatively. They're feeling a little dry. And you would say, hey, you're not just waiting for inspiration. You're not waiting for this lightning strike. What's a small step that they could take maybe to reconnect their creative spark?
Man, I think a big part of it is getting yourself healthy and fit. If you're getting up and working out on the mornings where you don't want to is much more important than working out on the days that you want to. It's building that resilience that you were talking about. And I think that counts creatively as well. The other thing is every journey starts with a single step, and don't try to eat the whole elephant at once. Take it a bite at a time. Pick one thing you can accomplish every day this week and stick with it, and then start to layer on top of that. And that will become routine, and it won't seem like a big task anymore.
It's interesting you went to working out or getting the blood pumping somehow, because literally we call it getting the creative juices flowing. But we got to get the blood pumping, don't we? Get the muscles moving.
Oh man, yeah. Before this podcast, I was jumping around the house and doing push-ups, just getting the blood pumping and re-engaging in my body and all that stuff so that I could be good for you.
You're setting a good example. I can tell you I was not doing that right before this podcast. So good for you.
Well, you got that sweet barista set up behind you. You don't need it.
I
You got all the
do. I'm
caffeine
just
you
hanging
need.
at the coffee shop. The blood is pumping already. Kirsten, what a great conversation. Great getting to know you better and learning more about your work.
Awesome. I agree, Mark. I really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for sharing your story and your inspiration.
Awesome. Talk to you soon, Mark.
Yes, and we want to thank our sponsor. Speaking of caffeine, White Cloud Coffee Roasters keeps these conversations fueled. And listeners, you can enjoy 10% off your first order. Use the word creativity at checkout at whitecloudcoffee.com. And of course, if you'd like to download a free ebook of my book, A World of Creativity, it's got some insights and interviews, early podcast. It's mark-stinson.com. So join us again next time. We're going to continue these round-the-world conversations with creative leaders about how we can get more inspired, how we can organize the ideas we have, and then ultimately we want to launch our work out into the world. That's what it's all about. Until next time, I'm Mark Stinson, and we'll keep unlocking your world of creativity.